morning, everybody. And I am so excited I have guests. And it's not Matthew. I mean, I know you guys love Matthew, but Matthew's in the background. Matthew's doing other stuff. What I have are two women that are familiar with one of the new things that we really love, which is Tovertafel. And you all tell us a little bit about yourselves, because, I mean, you're from my neck of the woods. So, I'm originally from Pittsburgh and West Virginia. So,
that's great.
Yeah, where you come from?
Yeah, so we are here close to Pittsburgh in Baden, Pennsylvania, actually. But Concordia has facilities in Pennsylvania, Ohio, and in Florida. So we're part of a larger group of senior living facilities. Chris and I specifically work in a 120-bed skilled nursing facility, and our backgrounds are in skilled nursing. For the most part, I've been in skilled nursing for 30 years. I started as a nurse aide to put myself through college, worked for 17 years as a speech language pathologist, and now 7 years as an administrator in a skilled nursing facility. So since I was 18, this is all I've ever done is senior care, and there's nowhere else I'd rather be. So I'll let Chris talk about herself.
I have to say ditto. I think about myself. I've probably been 30 years for myself as well. I went right after college in 1994 into nursing homes, long-term care. I've been here at Concordia for 26 years. 26 years I've been here. I love it. It's like my second home. I love the residents. I love the new technology and the different ways we can help serve our residents. So cool. we love older people.
Love, yeah. And so I mean, I have a bit of age on you because I've been in the business 43 years, and I was an NA before there was a certification back in
the Hey, we understand that now coming through COVID because they had that temporary nurse aide license. So yeah, I think you understand then, Teepa. You learn most of what you know on the job.
Yeah, doing it and making mistakes and learning from the mistakes. Yeah, and then applying the good parts. When you get a good part, you go, ooh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yes.
So you have a connection. You guys use a lot of what we have created to help people live life well, help aides feel more connected to the people they serve, help families get their needs met so that people are in a better space. And yet, even with all of that, the reality is there are going to be times of the day and places and spaces where it sure would be handy to have something going on that didn't require one-on-one max support. And that, for me, is where Tovertafel comes in. So tell me about your experience, like how you became aware of Tovertafel and how you got interested in it with your community.
Sure. I think the way we got the Tovertafel is a little bit novel in that we were given some grant money during COVID, and it was one of those things where we had to have something submitted quickly. And when I say we, it wasn't me, it was somebody else in our organization. And she had like hours to get something in. She called one of our activities professionals and said, if money wasn't an object, what would you want? And she immediately said the Tovertafel. She had seen some videos about it and read some information. So we got it through a grant and truly didn't know this beautiful gem we were being given. When we pulled that out of the box and started using that and had it was life-changing, really. It has changed our community. And I like to say the Tovertafel is plug and play because it really is. The hardest part of it is getting it mounted for the first time. But once you get started, it's a game changer.
I would agree with you. Getting it mounted, we had a special person who came in and did that. And then after all that, we found out, we have it sideways. Shoot.
Oh,
switch the orientation. But we had our moment in the sun of like, well, there you go. So that's a warning shot there. When you get it, if you have one and you get it mounted, you may want to think about the orientation before you get too far down that road. But I would agree that my first experience, I think I must have been in Europe when I first saw the very first one. But then, it's been in Canada and now it's in the US. So you all got it in. Who in your community really took to it right away? Who was like, wow, this is cool?
This girl, Chris, I'll let you talk about your experience with.
I mean, I think it's just great from an activity standpoint. I mean, it's a failure-free activity. It's available. It's clean. You don't have to get materials. You don't have to set it up. You don't have to clean up. It's good for every level of residents. So you can have anybody high functioning, low functioning at the table. There's music and colors and lights. I mean, it's a multi-sensory, advantage for a lot of our residents. And of course, the staff love it. Now, then the staff kind of got involved in it, and families. So we're pleased that it reaches a lot of different people.
Yeah. So one of our experiences is what a multi-generational curiosity. When families come in and they have younger kids, or it's great we found to get kids and elders at the same table having a good time together.
Yeah, we talk about that a lot here, because I think that one of the things, and I think with families in general, because you run out of things to talk to. How many times can you ask mom what she had for lunch? And it's a frustrating conversation anyway, because often she can't remember. So now you put the Tovertafel out and you just start, and it initiates conversation. And from a speech language pathology perspective, which is part of my background, as soon as you take the focus off of communicating, sometimes it flows more freely. That's what we know. It's almost like we give the brain a break because we're looking at something else and laughing, and just the ease of that experience brings conversation.
Yeah. And the cool part, I know you're a speech language pathologist, but movement is part of it too.
Right.
So people doing things without having to think about what they're doing. It's a spontaneous movement. And because often people can copy you, they can figure out what it is they're supposed to do. And then you start getting playful with it, and the competition can warm up.
Absolutely. We had an experience where we had a resident who really enjoyed playing with it, and we put on one of the word games. Oh. And I really thought that was above her level of ability. And the language that started to come out of that was astounding. And it wasn't above. She was in there, and we just needed something to help bring her out.
So Tover has that potential to kickstart something.
Yes.
And if it's not, the plus with the levels. Now, Tover does all these levels. So you can go from level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5. And so when you get up around 5 is pretty challenging. And it's challenging whether you're older, whether you're younger, whether you have brain change or you don't. I mean, it's just sort of a challenging thing. Yeah. Sure. So when we talk about gem states and people being in different gem states, and sometimes people are in distress, what are some of the programs that you all really have found to be your go-tos when it comes to distress? Let's talk about distress for just a second.
I think when you think about the gems, I was looking at your gems and like the levels on the Tover, and of course the lower levels, of course, are like your pearls, rubies, and amber level gems. The lower functioning people, and the lower functioning games are great, like the flowers that grow and the colors that you can see, and you'd like rake the leaves and play ball. We love the ball doesn't fall off the table. That's our favorite part. The ball stays on the table. Like Rochelle was saying, it's like failure free for them too. Like if the ball comes to them and they don't necessarily hit the ball, it'll go on to the next player. So it's not like they're going to drop the ball. So we were talking about that this morning, how it's beneficial. And then as you move on to the different levels, the higher levels, of course, would be like the diamonds and sapphires, and the higher level, more reasoning, thinking, problem solving. But it's fun. You can play the games with most people at the same table. It's just you interact with them different, pull people in a different way.
Yep. Yeah. Some people are just whacking moles regardless, and others are watching for the point value. I mean, point value matters. And so they're very careful about which ones they want to whack. The oothers are just like, yeah, I'll just take it out.
Right.
But I think it gives people a sense of completion too. I think so many things that we do don't have an end, or I didn't accomplish something. One of our favorites here is polishing silver. Oh. And when we do the polishing silver, we that task, what I love about what they've done with that programming is that there is a completion. It's not ad nauseum, mindless forever and ever. It wraps itself up and there's a meal on the table and we talk about, would you eat that? I'm not eating the broccoli. No way. You can have mine. We can talk about
it produces other different foods. You don't always get the same food either.
Yes.
And that's kind of fun because, again, I think what's exciting about the Tovertafel folks is they're always sort of getting super curious about how brains work and how you can engage people. And I'm waiting for when the gravy can be poured over things. I know it's coming sometime. I don't know when it will be, but eventually at that picnic, we're gonna be able to pour gravy. I'm thinking. So you guys have been using this for how long now, would you say?
It's been probably close to a year at this point that we've been using it.
Yeah. And would you say there's any staff or any clients, residents that you would say, yeah, it just doesn't work. It's not there. They don't respond to it at all. Have you had anybody like that? Because I don't know that I have. I mean, it comes.
I don't think I've had anyone who hasn't responded. I think attention times have been limited maybe by that person. But we leave ours on. And I think this is key. We have ours on all the time. And so we turn the volume down sometimes because nobody wants to hear the popping bubbles all day long. But we leave it on. So it's one of those things where it grabs attention. So our neighborhoods are set up so that people can move freely around and they may just move over and see it and walk over and start interacting. Yeah. But it allows that kind of free play. One of the things I love about the Tovertafel in particular is it has that icon that allows you to start it, and after about 5 minutes, it will switch. So you don't have to have someone there to change it. Yeah. And so it's switching throughout the day. So the person who might not be interested in the next activity, they may walk away, but then they hear the music that they remember and they come back to it.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, it has a lot of features that are designed to help people engage, whether or not there's a human being trying to encourage engagement in that moment, or whether it's an opportunity that somebody could find on their own. So it encourages both engagement, but also exploration. And I think that's another really cool piece for me as well.
But we also, I forgot to mention, we also have a music therapist here on staff, and she'll play some of the musical games, and then she brings her guitar and plays, live music with them. So she kind of combines the two programs. So that's a great benefit when an employee is there, but it is great when there's not somebody hand over hand with them.
Right. And so when you have that opportunity that, yes, I have somebody coming in specifically to do this, but you can build up the sort of getting ready for so that when it's time to actually dive in, there's a warm up. And often people do need a warm up. They need to get to that comfort zone of, we're doing music. And then at that point, by then, the music therapist has also gotten to see who's interested in what music. And that may help guide a little bit of where they go next.
Right.
So right. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you guys for coming on and sharing a little bit of your experience with Tovertafel, because certainly ours here and when we were at the Adult Day Health Program, in both sites, we have seen yes, this is fun. People enjoy it. We did our soccer game last Friday, and, they had me getting up and shooting across the floor to see if I could get a goal. And I did get one in. Just
okay.
They were busy. Don't tell them that's what happened, but that's what happened. So thank you so much for being here. Thanks for sharing. And folks, if you have any questions for our group here from Concordia, get up with them, because the cost is high, but the value is also high. And so I think if you look at the salary for one employee, it'd be a lot more than this. And this gives you that opportunity to use the employees well. In other ways, encourage family participation. It's sort of so versatile that I would say, yeah, you got it with a grant, but I think, it may be well worth its weight in.
Well, we're looking to purchase another one for our therapy department specifically, because they bring their residents to where we have the Tovertafel, because it is the best therapy tool I can imagine, because occupational therapists forever have been cleaning materials and gathering things. They don't have to. And nobody wants to have to just do a standing activity. But when you don't know you're standing because you're engaged in something else, that's like the rubber meets the road. Or a CVA patient, you're doing like left neglect, you're trying to get them to look. It's way more fun to look for bugs and push leaves off the table than it is to say, can you find my red line on the left side of the paper? Boring, boring, boring. So I think that therapists, I wish I would have had this tool for the 17 years I practiced in that field.
So the idea of purposeful play is actually children's work. And sometimes when people are living with changes, play is the work of recovery or sustaining or regaining or maintaining. And so that opportunity to do those things, huge. So thank you so much for coming on.
Well, thank you. Teepa. We love talking with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, everybody, take care with your care. If you have questions, let us know.